Whither the lonely intro.
Where
Would a
has it
show
traveled?
without an intro sound as sweet? You ever get an answer to that? Yeah. He goes on and he's like, yeah, it would be. It's great. Right? I can't remember.
I think so.
I played Romeo and I don't remember.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think
feel like he
the
gets an
consensus is, yeah, it's pretty great. Call it whatever you want. Otherwise, we got a problem with this Capulet. Here's something else it's all the same. Bacon strips. I think dogs do know it's not bacon.
Bacon strips?
No, bacon strips, although you've seen the clever marketing.
Oh, they're bacon strips?
Bacon strips.
Okay.
Dogs don't know it's not bacon.
Okay, all right.
I don't even know if they make them anymore. It's probably found like sodium or trans plastics in them or
I'm sure
something.
that they, yeah, you're right. Of course they know they're not bacon.
Yeah.
Especially if they've had actual bacon.
But they're like, just keep eating it. You know, it's, I don't know how a dog shrugs. It's got four shoulders.
Yeah, how does a dog shrug? Do you
It
just like
dips his body down?
Do you like
like he's a lowrider?
I like that visual.
Dogs, to be able to shrug, dogs would have to be able to be casual. And casual is not something that a dog can do really well.
No.
Because we bred casualness out of them. I bet a wolf could shrug.
Sure, a shrugging wolf.
A wolf's just out there. I'm the alpha. Shrug. Whatever. It's cool to be the beta. It's fine. That whole alpha thing is not... We've been using that as like pop science for like 50 years, and it's not...
Is that not really a thing?
No.
Oh.
Or at least we don't know. Somebody posted a thing once. One guy studied like a group of wolves, and it was like, oh, that's how they do it. It's an alpha dog. And now that's like...
There was one
ingrained...
group of wolves?
Okay, all right, look... It's science, okay? But let's just say that you've accepted that is a thing, knowing nothing else about it.
True.
So now I'm saying it's not a thing.
Okay.
And my only proof is refuting the only thing that you know. So, and you know me personally, and you trust me.
I do.
And this is how fake news starts. Speaking of fake news,
whoa.
We're just speaking of world events. I'm still uncomfortable continuing under the not quarantine anymore.
Under the not quarantine anymore?
It's not a quarantine. You can go places. There's a drive-through restaurant that has been closed for like 18 months. It mysteriously closed. Nobody knows why, really. And now it's open again.
Really?
It's in St. Louis Park.
Really?
Yeah, I want to go there.
What kind of drive-through?
You can dine
Just
in your
fast
car,
food?
right? No, it's it's a drive-in. Did I say drive-in? I said diner. Drive-in.
Like A&W root beer or Sonic's?
Yes.
But it's its own thing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is you can roller skate in the summer, ice skate in the winter. Right?
I don't know about ice skating on pavement.
That's the best part. Well, you just leave it really icy. People sliding in and out of your... you can only go to this place if you have chain on your tires.
Right. And the skaters... Well, I guess if you roller skate, you have to know how to stop, too, huh? The ice skaters have to know how to stop. Yeah.
Maybe they get cross-country ski to your car. I don't know how it works. It's not my business. All right. Well, anyway, we're back to talk about movies, classic and modern, for your quarantainment, I guess. To update that if we continue this. Title's a problem, too, but we'll see. You know what? COVID's got a second wave. Maybe this could be the second wave of our show. I mean, we are doing one just like 72 hours, not even 72 hours after we did the last one.
I know. It's a little soon. Huh?
Yeah, it's the second wave.
We did it a little fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, everybody did it a little fast. Restricted or loosened restrictions a little fast.
Yeah.
Went back to the beach a little fast.
Mm-hmm.
Took their masks off a little fast.
Yeah.
And here are the movies for this week. We're going to start with my pick. My pick was a 1988 film called Action Jackson, starring Carl Weathers.
Yes.
And this movie, like, it did okay, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I heard of it before we watched this, because I'm pretty sure I've heard of Action Jackson before.
I'm probably asking.
Super familiar.
I'm definitely asking the wrong person, but the point is that I feel like this was Carl Weathers' audition to be a lead, and the answer was Okay, maybe no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It actually
I
did.
hear ya.
It made $20 million on a budget of $7 million. It was directed by Craig R. Baxley, who is a guy you never heard of, and there's nothing wrong with that. He definitely made. This was his first film.
Okay.
He was like a second unit director and worked on a lot of other big films, and so
Okay.
he's going off on his own. And he made a lot of films that are like Action Jackson, kind of cheesy B movie. 90s and early 80s and early 90s cheesy B movies.
Sure.
Whew, got it out. So he directed I Come in Peace, which this is not a cheesy action movie show, but would be on the list. Stone Cold, starring Brian Bosworth, is another one. And he directed Sniper 2. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not Sniper 1. Sniper 1's got Billy Zane in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Billy
Speaking
Zane.
of
Listen to your friend
90s
Billy
B-movie
Zane.
action stars.
Yeah, right.
And it stars Carl Weathers, as we said, and a lot of other people. But first, tell us what happens in Action Jackson, because I want to know.
Don't we all?
Yeah, because I just saw it, and I don't know what happened.
So, Action Jackson is a...
Action Jericho Jackson.
Action Jericho Jackson. Action is his nickname, of course.
Action is his middle name.
Well,
I'm going to look and see if that's on the poster. Somewhere it is.
Anyways, he is a cop in Detroit, and we learn very early on in the movie that he's currently a sergeant, but he was demoted because he didn't handle this one case really well. That was this kid who, I don't know how young he was. Anyway, there's this kid who was a sexual predator of sorts. That didn't go into details. That's all you really need to know. And he is the son of this really wealthy car maker. And the car maker's name, wow, I can't remember his name right now. Delano?
Sure.
What?
Delaplane. It's like DePlane, but it's Delaplane.
And played by Coach, who I can't remember his name right now either, so I'm doing really great.
Craig T. Nelson.
Who's
got mad MMA skills.
Yes. And at the very beginning of the movie, I guess I skipped ahead a little bit, people are getting killed, and there's these mysterious men who are killing them, and we don't really know what's going on. And as the movie develops, Jackson hears from this guy that
played by Robert Davi.
Yeah, that God, I already forgot his name. Delaplane is behind it, and so he starts digging deeper, and of course he gets in kind of over his head, and he's
killed by Delaplane. Okay, but now we don't have to talk about him anymore.
The actor was killed by Delaplane. I was saying that Jackson was investigating it and got in over.
But we can move past. We can get out of the first act. Let's try that. Go.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess I should have stopped you early and not at the end of your long journey through the first act.
I was just saying Jackson gets in over
Let's
his
swap
head.
for one episode. Action Jackson is a disgraced police officer. He busted the son of industrialist and car maker, blah, blah, DePlane, and he's been busted from lieutenant to sergeant, and he gets mixed up in a plot by DePlane to kill off and replace the members of the union leads, in order to, I don't know, make it better for him to make his cars.
Yeah.
And then near the end of the thing, he talks about how, a peanut farmer was elected to president, and Jackson's like, oh, so we're going to have President DePlane? He's like, no, that's not what I want. What do you want? He likes power, but that's so nonspecific. Yada, yada, yada. Jackson goes to his house where they're going to kill the head of the union. He stops that from happening, kills him, and the end. See?
Okay.
I can't wait for you to talk about your movie.
Yeah, well.
This movie stars a lot of people. So this is kind of like an independent movie.
Okay.
It was made by Lorimar Pictures, I think, and it was later bought by Warner Brothers. But at this time, it's an untested director. It's not a big studio.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just got a wild hair up their ass and was like, yeah, here's $7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Make the guy from Predator a star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it worked. I mean, I love Carl Weathers.
I love Carl Weathers, too.
And he's good in everything he does, and he's great in this.
He is.
But, yeah, I don't know how far he got off of that. I wanted to mention real quick that the theme song of the film, you gotta have it and give it to me or something like that. Can't remember what it's called. Is by the Pointer Sisters.
Okay.
And I wanted to point out the recent death of Bonnie Pointer.
Okay.
Who actually left the group like in the 70s. So I mean that she wasn't part of this song. That's not a very good song.
All right, fair.
But yeah,
all right.
just R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many people in this, and even like little bits.
Yeah.
Little bits, like things that you just see. Like one of the cops is Kornblau or something like that, and he's like one of the. First of all, a lot of comedy. Remember we learned about scare quotes and air quotes.
Yeah.
Comedy in this.
Uh-huh.
He's played by Thomas F. Wilson, the guy that plays Biff in Back to the Future.
Okay.
And Bill Duke is in this, so this is kind of a Predator reunion between Carl Weathers and Bill Duke. He plays the police captain, who is barely in it at all.
Yeah.
Who else is in it? You pointed out, of course, Coach is in it. Sharon Stone is in this for about 10 seconds.
Yep.
Really for no reason at all.
Nope.
And she was not really all that big back then, but she
Sure.
was on the rise. So I'm not sure when she accepted the role, but I'm surprised that she took the role. I think she could have done better than this.
Yeah.
You pointed out that Al Leong,
Yes.
Chinese-American stuntman who's in a ton of things. He's always got the long Fu Manchu, and he was eating candy bars, and Die Hard is in this.
Yeah.
And Devereaux White is in one scene. Devereaux White played Argyle in Die Hard, so another Die Hard reunion. Although if you look at the release schedule, this might have come out before Die Hard.
Wait. Argyle, one of like the terrorists, was he the guy with like the long blonde hair in this that doesn't talk at all?
That's sweet. That's very post-racial of you. No, Argyle's the funky limo driver in Die Hard.
Oh my god, okay.
You didn't
right.
recognize him without aviators on. So he's the guy who let me park your car. And he's like, okay, fine. He just peels out and we never see him again.
Again with cars.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a bit part, but he was good. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, like I mentioned, Robert Davi's in it. And of course, Vanity is in it.
Yes.
How many Vanity movies have you seen?
Is she in Purple Rain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, that's Apollonia.
Then just this one, I think. Well, how many other... That is Apollonia, you're right, in Purple Rain. I don't
When
think...
she's in doing Sex Shooter or whatever.
I don't think I've seen any other Vanity films.
What's the one with... It's like...
Or films that Vanity is
It better
in.
not be No Time to Die. Okay, I don't want to talk about Action Jackson. This movie sucks. So let's just talk about something else. Who plays Uncle Jesse on Full House? Because I don't do names
John
anymore.
Stamos.
John Stamos.
Yeah.
You watch a part of your mind just disappear.
Oh.
It's very sad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
John Stamos and Vanity were in a spy send-up called Never Too Young to Die.
What?
And Gene Simmons plays the villain of the film, and he's a transsexual, and it is not a sensitive performance.
My goodness.
And it's supposed to be like he's supposed to.
I'm sorry. What is this movie called?
It's called No Time to Die. I mean, it's called Never Too Young to Die. And he plays, Jimmy Stargrove or something like that. He's the son of like a famous spy. That's kind of implied to be James Bond or a James Bond-esque figure. And in fact, they have his father Lance Stargrove. And his father is in the film. His father's played by George Lazenby. Now, if you picked Lazenby on your own, bold choice. But I feel like that's who said yes, right?
Right.
This
probably.
is 86. Your list of Bonds is... I think Pierce Brosnan would do it at this point. Do I get punched in the movie? Sure. No, you haven't been punched yet, but great hurt acting there. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. It's a typical, and we're going to talk about this in your movie too. A lot different to see cop movies these days, huh? A lot different.
Yeah.
This is
got my got a
This is
different lenses on
cartoonish.
or something. I don't know.
Your aviators. This is cartoonish, but not cartoonish enough to divorce you. I feel like if I watched Tango and Cash, it would still be fine. You know, it's just Stallone, making Robert Zadar, shoot out of the front of a semi window. It's not that big of a deal. That doesn't resemble real world. They have a Cybertruck at the end that Michael J. Pollard gives them. Like, it's barely policing. They're just sort of superheroes. But seeing Action Jackson just knock people around, and a lot of the profiling that leads to breaks in the case. This is really kind of okay.
And there's
I wonder where we got all these ideas about cops and minorities from.
There's even this line in the movie when he's talking to the police chief, and the police chief says something like, he's been demoted. I guess he didn't, the case he didn't handle well. I guess he kind of was rough on the guy. I don't know. At least that's implied, but whether he actually was or not. But he says to Jax,
he arrested a white man who was the son of
a
powerful industrialist.
Yeah, but
what's going to happen to a black officer?
Okay, but he says to Jackson, like, we're the cops. We can't endure any people thinking about police brutality, even if it's just if it didn't actually happen or not. We can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, crazy. So this movie, made in Detroit, mostly black cast. I don't know, the writer's probably not black. The director not black. So I don't know. There's missed opportunity to do any racial stuff at all. The most racial they get is that Craig T. Nelson has this. Who's the guy in The Wire? Who's the Muslim guy, Elijah Muhammad or whatever? He's got the bow tie and he's going to kill Stringer Bell or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
He hires this guy who's black and has a mustache, like Jackson, and so he's going to hold this huge party where a bunch of white people are, and he's going to have that guy shoot this guy, and then people are going to mistake him for Action Jackson because anyway, it's like you have done nothing at this point to show any racial tensions, the way that whites and blacks are interacting in the business and society of Detroit. It's completely a non-factor. So this joke is already a lame joke, but it has no weight, basically. Like, that was your plan.
Yeah, right. Not
dumb plan.
Resonance there.
I want to mention quickly that a lot of people are in this for 2 seconds. At the very beginning, there's a guy. He's one of the union guys, and he's got his secretaries hanging out with him late at night. They're working on a thing.
Yeah.
That secretary is played by Mary Ellen Trainor, who was in a couple of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Okay.
She was also in Monster Squad. She might have been the mom. She's somewhere in Die Hard. And she was in, Romancing the Stone. And I always wondered why you see her pop up in these tiny roles. She was married to Robert Zemeckis. I finally have my answer.
Whoa.
That's how you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Not really.
No. Okay.
All throughout the movie, or at least the first part, all these union guys are getting killed off by this rock band group of ninjas. It's like Vince Neil and his ninjas come in.
Yeah, right.
And they're real tough, and they can throw a butterfly knife and stab you with it. And then they're all taken out, just bing, bang, boom, at the end, basically.
Yeah, pretty
There's
much.
no big fight with them. And I was thinking about it. They're like ninjas, I guess, sort of. They're the Invisible Men or whatever.
Right.
And we need to get over, Batman, I think, he can stab people, right?
Sure, why not?
Wow. Big Zack Snyder fan.
I don't
Batman
know.
never shoots anybody, and he never stabs anybody. He never breaks their skin. But we need to get over, especially now, that punching somebody unconscious is grievous bodily harm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
You don't know
if
how to say
Batman
brain
did
damage.
have bat knives and he just stuck somebody to the wall with a sharpened batarang, that would be a lot, a couple stitches and some antiseptic and you're fine.
Uh-huh.
But instead he punches people in the head 20 times,
Yeah,
definitely
that's a good
giving
point.
them brain damage.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I think somebody was, the other night was, can't remember who it was, but I know I've been talking about this for years. Just knock people out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean with your fists.
With Batman?
Shoot blow darts.
Oh.
Have a little diluted curare or
Sure,
something like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Bat paralysis dart.
Yeah,
Oh,
not gonna
he's
hurt
drugging
them.
somebody.
They'll
It's horrible. It's like, what's worse, that or like boxing him around the ears for half an hour?
Right.
This is how much I don't want to talk about Action Jackson. I was really disappointed by this. I'd heard about it for a while. I knew that it wasn't great, but I'd heard that it was a cult movie, and I love Carl Weathers, and it's one of those that
I like Carl Weathers too.
it just slipped by. I have a famous background where I wasn't able to watch R-rated movies, but I had a friend who had a Blockbuster card that he got from his parents that was no restrictions, and so we, it wasn't just crap. Like, we worked our way through. That's why I saw a lot of the classics, when I was a kid. We never picked up Action Jackson for some reason, and I wish I still hadn't picked it up.
Oh,
Want to move on to your movie?
I
It's going to take a long time to talk about.
I know. I was just gonna say I really enjoyed the first part of this movie. I think it started off strong and then it lost its way.
I don't know how to feel about Vanity. I don't know if she worked long enough to get any good. Every movie she's in, she's on drugs in this.
Yeah, I know, which is
but
not
she's
great.
Flighty, and she's like, in Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, she's like very, I don't want to say virginal, but she's sort of very pure, and she's like the good girl or whatever. But she's trying to get a record contract. Every movie she's in, she plays a singer who's trying to get a record contract.
Yeah, right.
And she doesn't. She's clearly not a great actress, but there's definitely something there. She's a good singer.
She's really good singer.
Well, I don't know if she's really good. I mean, she's double tracked in this tiny little club with a lot of auto tune.
Okay, well,
I'd have to hear, just to hear. Prince knows. He took that to his grave. But I don't know how to feel about her when I see her on something. It's not like, oh boy, Vanity's in this.
Right. And I agree with what you said too about like Sharon Stone. Like, I was so surprised when he killed her so early. Like, I just was like, and she's gone. That's that. I wish I liked this more. I wish it was better because it gets so muddy in the middle. Like, there's this one point where him and I don't know if we said earlier, but Craig T. Nelson frames Jackson for Sharon Stone's murder.
We did say that.
Okay. And so then he's kind of like on
Vanity
the run.
is CTN's mistress.
Yes. And they go to this club and they're trying to look for this guy because he's like kind of like the information guy in the neighborhood, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know what kind of information they're going to get. That wasn't really clear.
Yeah.
But they go there and
Papa Doc.
Yeah, Papa Doc.
Yeah.
And like they go there and the guy's dead and
No. Tell the story right. He goes there.
All right.
And they're like, yeah, go over there. And they take him to a room.
Yes.
He's in there. He opens up a bassinet, and there's a jar with apparently the guy's balls in it.
Yes.
Then he gets knocked out. He's chained up. One of 2-3 times he's chained up in the film. And
yeah, that's a really good point.
oh, man. A Power Man. A Luke Cage film in the late 80s would have been perfect. He probably read for it at some point.
That would have been so awesome.
Or if they've stuck him into one of those Hulk movies back in the day. Yeah, and so he's accosted by a United Colors of Benetton gang, who apparently their thing is castration. We're given no reason why.
No.
We don't even know what Papa Doc did. Papa Doc is dead and has been castrated, and now it's Carl Weathers' turn.
Yes.
And Vanity breaks in and is like, he's my brother and he's crazy. And then Carl Weathers is like, hallelujah, I got the holy roller disease or whatever.
Yeah,
and then there's an okay action scene where he lays them all out. Then they leave the bar. No information was gotten.
No.
It was completely just a waste of 10 minutes in the movie. And there's other parts where he rescues Vanity, or he picks her up because they're trying to kill her. They go to his place, but there's cops everywhere because Sharon Stone is dead in his bed.
Right.
Then they go to her place, and...
Yes.
And she's, she checks her answering machine and it blows up. So they just get in their car and just leave and just go somewhere, go to this hotel. And it's just like nothing affects anybody. And the whole time she's like, are we going to do it or what? Were you there when your house blew up? I mean, I know you're like smacked out, but geez.
I know. So it's just kind of like, what is happening? And like,
I did like when the smack dealer... Vanity's trying to score, and then Carl busts in, and he's fighting the smack dealer, and he beats him up a little, and then he throws him out the window, across an
that
alley
was good.
into another building.
I did like that.
There's just never, and he's got this reputation. Like we come into the movie, we hear about Action Jackson, but everybody is like House of Wax, WACKS. They're like Action Jackson, and it isn't like you were saying at the end. Craig T. Nelson goads him into a karate fight, and we know from one scene where he fought an Asian guy that Craig T. Nelson's really great. Coach, he can kick ass. And so he starts to beat the crap out of Action Jackson, our hero. Yeah. And then he punches Action Jackson's head through a car door or through a window, and he's like, "You don't piss me off now!" And then he just beats the living piss out of him, and you're like, "Where's this coming from?" And I'm like, "Oh no, they pissed him off. Like anger is his spinach, like they set up earlier in the film." But they didn't set that up earlier in the film.
No, they didn't.
The Rock was in a movie called The Rundown.
I've heard of it.
Oh, put it on your list.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Better than this.
All right.
And he's like, The Rock is a former football player who's injured, can't do it anymore, and now he's working as a part-time thug. He's working as a loan shark, basically, or a leg breaker for a loan shark, in order to get enough money to open his restaurant. And we get this idea that we don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know if it was in the NFL or before then, but he never uses guns. And throughout the movie, he tells people, they're like, get a gun. We just need a gun. He's like, bad things happen when I touch guns. So the whole movie, no guns, right? We get to the end of the movie, the last confrontation. Long story short, he's in a Brazilian town where the townspeople are helpless. It's a real Seven Samurai situation, but it's one samurai. And he's being pinned down by all the mercenaries that Christopher Walken has hired. You wrote it down, right?
Yes.
And we get this thing where it's like everything's going bad. Everybody's going to die. And he just picks up 2 shotguns and he just destroys half the town. He just kills everybody, everything.
Wow.
And we get that it's like, you don't want to see Action Jackson. When you see Action Jackson, it's the last thing you see. But I never got a sense of that.
No.
All the white cops are laughing at Action Jackson, and even the white drug dealer's like, Action Jackson, screw you.
I know.
So it's like the idea of the legend of Action Jackson, even if he starts, leveled down, taken down a couple pegs because of he was a little too Action Jackson in Action Jackson 0.
Right.
We should have seen more of that. And it's just not,
I did like the cab scene kind of early on in the movie where one of the mercenary guys who works for Delaplane almost hits him and Sharon Stone in the car, and then he's chasing after him and he jumps onto the roof of the car.
Yeah, but it's just typical. He's hanging on and he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done this," and then the guy inside shoots up through the roof 18 times and misses him. And we've seen this.
I guess he did flip over the car at one
point.
Yeah,
I have no idea how he did that.
No.
He doesn't have a backstory as he was a tight end or something like that. It's just he just flip over a car.
Yeah.
I did, there's a couple things I did like when for whatever reason the really big is his name Mr. Ed?
His name is Ed.
Okay,
and
so
I
anyway,
think he says I am Mr.
Hello,
Ed.
I'm Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
When the who does he work for?
He works for Delaplane.
But he turns on him for some reason.
Yeah, I think he works at the club.
No time.
For
so
vanity,
Mr. Red and Action Jackson team up to kill all the ninjas, and there's one ninja left. He's got a grenade launcher. They get the grenade launcher away from him, and he's like, "Oh, you said you were going to barbecue me? How do you like your ribs?" And then he just explodes a man.
Yes.
They probably could have just taken to jail. But
yeah, right.
I don't like my ribs attached to each other inside my body.
And then it transitions to somebody cooking ribs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. And I like them driving the car through the house.
Yeah,
they drove the car
that was cool.
That's cool.
I liked the hairdresser when he goes to see the hairstylist.
That's another character that was like, oh, this is a fascinating character.
She was so good. More of her, please.
Yep.
Nope. We're done.
I was a little worried because we started to get a lot of homophobic humor that maybe Papa Doc wasn't dead. Papa Doc was, had made a change and now works in a hair salon.
Oh.
And I shudder to think how the movie would have treated with that. There'd be nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It might actually be interesting and make that scene make sense. But yeah, she was great.
Yeah, no, she was great.
Don't see Action Jackson. Let's talk about your movie.
So I picked Magnolia.
Magnolia, a Paul Thomas Anderson film from 1999, starring everyone.
As a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson films are. At least
How long is this
and
movie?
Boogie Nights.
How long is this movie?
It's over 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long movie.
Man, it's long.
It does not need to be this long. It could have been.
But there's so many stories. I have some theories about why this is the way it is, but tell me what happens in Magnolia.
Oh no, it's my turn again. And
Yeah,
it's
you
gonna
shouldn't have
be
blown
awful.
Action Jackson.
There are a lot of different people and a lot of different stories, and they're kind of interconnected.
It's shortcuts, in the same 4 blocks of Los Angeles.
Yes.
It's Boogie Nights without the porn. It's throw a little Crash in, although that was 5 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Little bit of Exodus too. I don't know.
Exodus?
The
Exodus
religious
8 too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have abdicated your duties as a recapper.
I don't know how else you recap this. It is like
why do you make
incredibly
me,
hard.
Why do you make me? You think about the question that I asked you before we started rolling, and I'll do the recap. This movie takes place in the present day in Los Angeles, and it involves a bunch of characters who are all connected in some way or all meet each other in some way.
Yeah.
Love those kind of movies. There's a quiz kid who is pressured by his dad, played by that jerk actor whose name I don't remember, and the kid didn't go on to do anything else. Doesn't matter. He's on a quiz show hosted by Philip Baker Hall, who's married to the lady from Melinda from Christmas Story.
Yes.
And his daughter is played by Malona. No, we're just going to do... we got to go fast. His daughter he's estranged from his daughter. She hates him.
Yeah.
And she abuses drugs, and things aren't great. She runs into John C. Reilly, who is a police officer.
Right.
And he falls for her, and they go on a date.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on? Speaking of quiz shows, Donnie, what's his name?
Gosh, I can't remember.
Donnie Smith, quiz kid Donnie Smith.
Yeah.
William H. Macy is, an old... He was a quiz kid in the 60s.
Yes.
Now he works in a stereo store, Alpha Molina stereo store.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
he gets fired. But he has a... I can't remember what it's called, but he's got a thing where he thinks he needs surgery, oral surgery, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He goes to a bar to perv on the hot male bartender.
Right.
Henry Gibson is there. And Henry Gibson is just being Henry Gibson. I think that's the character's name. And they spar intellectually.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, across town, Philip Seymour Hoffman is hospice nurse at the bedside of Jason Robards, who is dying of cancer.
Yes.
Jason Robards is married to Julianne Moore. That's it. That's part of my brain.
Wow.
What? Julianne, don't make fun of me. Julianne Moore is his trophy wife, his second wife.
Yeah.
She didn't love him when she married him, but now she does. Because he's dying, which I think is dumb. And he was previously married to a woman that's not in this film, but she is the mother of Frank T.J. Mackey, played by Tom Cruise, who runs a seduce and destroy company and gives seminars about how to get tang for raucous guys. And all of their lives intersect crazily. How'd I do?
Very good.
Thank you. And it did happen.
Right.
Turn on this film.
Wow. So I'd heard about this film for many years and heard good things, and I think
This is your Action Jackson.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned once, probably when we did Boogie Nights, that I was with some friends.
Michael Bowen, that's the asshole dad. I just remember his name. Sorry, I can do names.
Sure. We started watching this film. We did not get very far, and we stopped it. Maybe because it was so long, and we decided we want to do something else. I have no idea. But anyways, I was like, man, I really should go back and see that. And after Boogie Nights, I gotta say, Boogie Nights, really good film in a lot of ways. I think
Boogie Nights drove him crazy.
Maybe.
I think I almost wanted to pair this. Well, first of all, I wanted to pair this with Dr. Zhivago because I bought Dr. Zhivago. Dr. Zhivago is my white whale.
I
and
know.
You go, there's a movie called Moby Dick. Shut up. Because it's 3.5 hours long. It's longer than this. And I still haven't seen it. And if we ever quit the show, it'll be the last movie I watched, I decided. But I wanted to punish you for making me watch Magnolia. So watching Dr. Zhivago. I almost paired this with Southland Tales, a movie I don't want to watch, but I'm full of spite. And that's another movie where Richard Kelly made Donnie Darko, which nobody can shut up about.
Yep.
And then got high on his own supply, or a Josh Trank situation. You know, these people get high on their own supply. They get lucky making their first film.
Sure.
Then they make a second film.
Yeah.
And it is self-indulgent garbage. Magnolia. Although Patton Oswalt's in it.
Briefly, but he is in it.
All the movies he's in are good. Why don't you? I promise to shut up for at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, not a good indicator that a film is good. Unfortunately, I do love you, Patton, but no. Wow, like where do I even?
You got to start somewhere.
Where do
you got
I
about 20
even
minutes
start?
left.
So John C. Reilly is a cop, and he's not a horrible cop, but he's not necessarily a great cop, and
He's not a horrible cop.
That doesn't really say much.
He
of anything.
profiles and impresses a woman
All
and
right.
lucks out that there's a dead guy in her closet.
All right. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah. Also, he takes the opportunity to turn a
call.
loud music stop at a lady's apartment into abusing his authority.
Yeah, no, you're right.
To
He's
ask
not great.
her out.
I've changed my mind. So yeah, he comes to this one lady's apartment and like he's like, you know, your neighbors called, they heard a disturbance, and did he just like walk in? Like,
Well, the door's open.
The door was open or something like that.
Yeah, a couple use that opportunity.
And she gets mad at him, understandably, but he's like,
what do you want to say about the scene? Because people watch this movie. You don't have to repeat all the scenes.
It's just it felt a little bit like it felt like he was racial profiling her, and like he was being racist, and he tells her to sit on the couch, and he handcuffs her to the couch, and he finds a dead guy in her.
Yeah, he didn't handcuff Claudia to the couch.
He didn't even make her sit on the couch.
No.
She was being a little bit more cooperative.
Cooperative?
But still,
she was having an effing panic attack.
Yeah,
every
all right.
scene that she's in.
I know.
Bad cop. He can't tell that somebody is high off their tits on cocaine.
I know. Well,
on an extended date.
He also loses his gun, so he's not.
It wasn't. He dropped it, and then the kid, the rapping kid.
Yes.
By the way, there are 2.5, because we don't even see one's face. There's 2 black people in this movie. One of them is a loud, black woman who is accessory to a crime, and the other is a rapping kid who sells things on the street.
And the lady who interviews Tom Cruise.
Well,
black
so
too.
that's funny. I want to talk about that because I think that she is. We'll talk about Tom Cruise too. Let's do her first. I don't know that actress, but I thought that she was really good because she had to play somebody playing somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was there. Let's just brass tacks. She was there for a gotcha interview. She didn't really want to hear about Seduce and Destroy.
No.
But she was tried to be polite as possible. She wanted to ease Jimmy into this, and so he's doing all this like, ooh, I gotta feed the need. I gotta feed the seed.
Well,
and she
like
said, but she's doing this.
underwear.
Yeah, but she's doing the thing where she's like, oh, stop it. You want to talk about the interview? And she's kind of wheedling him, and it's
That's
like,
true.
This is good technique. She gets him where she wants him.
Yeah.
But if he's the named character and on the bill, and he's Tom Cruise, she's an aggressor. So the 3 black characters in this movie are all aggressive.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tom Cruise. Actually, no. Pop quiz, hotshot. Why is this called Magnolia?
I have no idea, except that like I don't know how many stories there are, How many petals are on a magnolia flower?
No.
No?
No.
No? I don't know anything about magnolias, so I don't know why it's called Magnolia. Why is it called Magnolia?
I think it's because Magnolia Boulevard is a main thoroughfare through like Burbank and Valley Village into Sherman Oaks. It's in the valley, basically.
Okay.
That's all I can think of.
Okay.
But that's literally...
They never reference
PTA,
it, which is fine, but...
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's made a mess. What's he going to call it? Because here's what this movie is. It's misery, misery, misery. Everything turns out okay. It's just like...
Yeah.
Endless, relentless misery. Everybody is miserable. They all do horrible things to each other. Then frogs fall out of the sky, and it's all fixed. And like,
and we have a music video.
And everybody gets their scene, right?
Yes.
And it's like, I call it curative trauma.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, they've experienced all this trauma in their life. Yeah. So it's like the Gilligan coconut amnesia theory, right? If we hit them with a little more trauma, then they'll be fixed.
Right.
So, girl who is, you know, half, she's a sentient pile of cocaine.
Yeah.
Who was abused by her father.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, he doesn't know if he did anything, but why would he put a gun to his head? He did it.
He totally did
it.
Yes.
So... Yeah, so that person, as long as goofy John C. Reilly is going to come in and tell her what to do all the time, I guess it's going to take care of the father's absence in her life, but she's fixed.
Yeah, I don't.
And then,
think
like,
she's
what's Frank going to do? Is Frank going to shut down, seduce, and destroy?
I have no idea.
What's Julianne Moore going to do with all the money? None of these people's problems are really fixed, but we're supposed to, you know.
No.
How is he couldn't? Donnie couldn't pay for the braces. You know, before he got all his teeth smashed out. How's he going to pay for any of this?
I have no fucking clue.
So it's just, it's dumb. And the whole framing thing, when it starts off and it's like, sometimes a coincidence is... The great Ricky Jay is in this, as he is in many of PTA's films until he died. Some people got hung, and it was like Greenberry Hill, and there was a shotgun. This is like, you're taking us like 8 minutes to start the film.
I know, and then
you
they
know
have it
you're
at
in
the
trouble.
end of the movie too.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you, when I saw this in '99, I loved it.
Okay.
Yep, because I was dumb.
Well, why
we all were dumb.
Why do you think you loved it when you first saw it?
Because we all, you know, it's the same reason that they want a Snyder cut, is because they're convinced of the genius of Snyder. And when you are convinced of something, this is something that you learn as a critic, knock on wood, not to do, but when you fall into really liking something, there's nothing that they can do that won't throw you off, or you'll just make it part of your love for them. It's like when you fall in love with, you know, a boy. And it's like, oh, he plays basketball. You know, I don't know anything about basketball, but I could learn. That sort of thing.
Okay.
And I think I compared it the other night to, for me, now I question all of PTA's genius. Because when it comes down to it, he casts talented actors, but a lot of his films have the same kind of feel to them, the same kind of theme to them. It's all about characters trying to get back something that they've lost or whatever. Wes Anderson's like that too, isn't he? And now I'm looking at all his films and going, are they that good? And the example that I used on you was, you used to love Weezer. And I don't know what the breaking point was, but at some point, maybe it was the Shaker Hymn, or maybe it was Beverly Hills, That's Where I Want to Be. But at some point you were like, why do I like this? And then you start kind of going back through everything, and it's like, what?
See,
I like the early stuff.
I do.
Yeah, well, the early stuff's good. That was Weezer's first movie. But the second part of actually, this is a bad example, because their second movie was one of the best albums of the 90s.
Yeah, right.
But the follow-up was Action Jackson. Anything else? This is, I like Long Hair Tom. This is, I just saw Mission Impossible the other day. This was, for some reason, Tom got a wild hair up his ass.
To grow his hair
It's the 90s. I need a leather bracelet, and I need to grow my hair out, and so we get a little long hair Tom Cruise. What do you think of Tom Cruise?
He's not my favorite, but I think he's an okay actor. Yeah, I think he's decent.
I think he is okay.
I think he's decent.
I had my doubts about him. In 1999, I saw this and thought, the prophecy is fulfilled. The best actor I've ever seen. In 2020, I watch it and I go, what are you doing? Like, clearly, I don't know if Paul Thomas Anderson is an actor's director or what. Like, one of his first movies, Hard Eight, might be his first movie, is great. And you couldn't have made that movie because it's just people talking without directing actors. Boogie Nights is great, but I think there's a lot of, like, do whatever you want's going on with talented people.
Yeah.
And then he does that with this, and Tom Cruise is like...
Yeah, I know.
And he's acting opposite Jason Robards, who literally died that year, but was dying great.
Yeah.
But then they'd have a scene where he's like, oh
my God.
It's like Paul Rubens in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Wow. I mean, I thought there was a lot of... I thought there was... Well, I'm trying to, like... Oh, Felicity Huffman's in this, too.
Where? Oh, she's the production...
assistant for the game show.
Whatever,
yeah. I thought there was some good acting in this. I mean, like, Philip Seymour Hoffman is good.
Yeah. This propelled him... Well, yeah, we know what happened, but it's very sad. But this was definitely... This propelled him into... Because he wasn't just... people watch Boogie Nights and they go, well, that guy was... The guy that plays... what's his name is great, but... Can we do anything with that? And then he was able to just show... In a movie full of people going wackadoo... You, how dare you? You tell... I come in here for these drugs, and you call me lady, and you...
I mean...
What happened?
I don't know.
She's a good actress.
She's a really good
right?
actress. Yes, no, she is.
Yeah, but I think she's also the kind of actress that will go... You give her an inch and she'll take a mile, and nobody said...
She might pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you might be right about that.
So, anyway.
William H. Macy, I think, did a good job on this, too.
Yeah, he's great. And this is probably his audition for Shameless. He spends the middle of the movie, like, drunk, and he's like, I used to be somebody. I was like, it's like, a little longer hair. Yeah.
There you go.
Chicago accent. Yum.
A
couple more.
Disappointed.
Yeah, well, it's not pretentious. We need something more. It's post-tentious. So what happened at the end? Was it God?
With the frogs falling from the sky? That's what they made it seem like.
Well, so Exodus 8:2 is the verse about the plague of frogs. This is Moses telling Pharaoh that if he doesn't let the people go, there's going to be a plague of frogs and all kinds of weird stuff. Mm-hmm. But you spent the whole movie, the beginning of the movie, setting up that coincidence is a crazy thing.
Yes, that's true.
And also,
that is true.
You doubled down on it, and by doing that, dug yourself a hole where Ricky Jay's like, if somebody saw this in a movie, they wouldn't even believe it. Although I was asleep because that was the end. So you set up that, like, I don't know, maybe there's a force or power, but we don't see anybody acting. We don't see anything supernatural necessarily. But, I mean, this isn't like a plane didn't pick up a billion frogs
and drop it on
yeah,
LA.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, stop flashing Exodus 8:2 all over. You're saying, and I don't, Paul Thomas Anderson is not religious, but, I mean, he's clearly just saying somebody stepped in here, right? When at the fullness of time.
Right, and then somehow magically everything is okay.
Did you like the music video?
No, I did not.
I liked how so it was a big deal that Amy Mann cooperated in this movie.
Yeah.
And at the beginning she sings the longest ever recorded version of One is the Loneliest Number,
yes.
because everything in this movie is a
everybody.
montage, which is not, that's a early PTA thing. So you're like, okay, that's great. And then, like, halfway through, I think Claudia's listening to an Amy Mann song at 11, as you do.
Yeah.
And then there's the music video. But otherwise, it's just incidental. There's a Dreams Can't Come True. That's Donnie's theme.
Yeah, right.
And then there's, like, this constantly repetitive, constantly accelerating tension theme that comes in the middle of the second act, which is like as we cut from place to place to place, and it's just like there's just no pacing. It's just relentless.
Yeah.
Everybody's got cancer. 3 cancers.
There were 3 cancers.
Yep. Creative.
Yes.
Very creative.
Yeah. Wow. Ugh.
Where was Cheadle?
I don't know.
He's making Hotel Rwanda right now or something?
I don't know. Maybe he read the script and he's like, nah, man.
I already respect him a lot, but
Yeah, I know.
I would love to think that he just went, nah. But
I'm gonna pass on that.
5 years later, yes, I will be in Crash.
Fair enough.
Anything else?
It just disappointed.
Throwing
man.
good words after bad in the script.
Will not be watching this again. I can definitively say, ever.
Everything,
So-
yeah. It's the ultimate. He was mad with power. It's his.
Well, he wrote it too, didn't you say that?
I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, he always works on the scripts and yeah. I mean, I'm sure he wrote it. I'm not gonna look it up. I don't care. But it's just so you've got the captions and chapter titles.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that.
Yep.
You can thank Quentin Tarantino for that. Everybody had to have those. It's. Yeah, I can't even. Let's say some good stuff. I can't even think of any good stuff.
I can't think of any good stuff. I think we already said the acting highlights.
I liked the. Yeah, well, I like that they don't confirm that Philip Baker Hall is a son of a bitch, but he is. I liked that we could put the it's a little extreme, but I like that we could put the things together that Frank, his name's not Frank, I can't remember what it is, but Frank's father, Jason Robards left, and his mother was sick, and so he had to take care of his mother, and she died, and it's not a transference. What is it? Psychologically, he sort of began to hate women or
right because of what he had to go through with his mom.
Yeah. And nobody ever. It's not like the reporter is like, I also have a psych degree and I can tell you that you're once we and that interview takes forever. This thing keeps cutting around and it's supposed to kind of be real time, but it's not. So that interview is like an hour long because we have to keep cutting to other things, and it just would never. I guess the guys are eating nachos. I don't know. There's not enough material to fill that interview if we're cutting away and not seeing things. But I like the fact that they didn't hit that too hard. But you kind of get it. I did like the scene where, and it's like it's 1999. The internet exists. Doesn't Julianne Moore have a big chunky monitor that's got AOL on it or something?
Right.
But Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jason Robards tells him to find my son, and Philip Seymour Hoffman just knows, Frank Mackey, he's the seduce and destroy guy.
Yeah.
So he calls up to get delivery of food. He's like, give me some bread, peanut butter, give me some cigarettes. Do you guys have a Playboy? Yeah, we got Playboy. I put one of those in there. What about Hustler? What about Penthouse?
I know.
He's like, okay, that's it. She's like, do you still want the bread and the cigarettes? He's like, yeah. This is something that people call up Pink Dot and
right
pad their order because all they really want is the porn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the kind of subtlety that is not found much in this film.
No,
Go off, Queen. Go off on the pharmacy scene. Do it.
She comes in with all these prescriptions for her dying husband, and the pharmacist keeps making all of these horrible, awful, snide...
Not even subtle.
No!
No.
They're not subtle at all. And, you are a freaking pharmacist. You keep your freaking mouth shut. Do not be judgmental towards people.
And you make a phone call. All you have to do is call the doctor's office.
Yes, but they made a big show of, oh, look at all these. And, we're calling now.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, boy, but must have something pretty exciting going on.
You could have a real party with these.
Yeah.
These two don't mix at all.
Or a great funeral, because my husband's dying.
I know. And so I understand.
Don't you? Sorry.
I understand why she goes off on him. I don't know why it comes off a little melodramatic in the scene, but I understand why she goes off on him. I would have gone off on him sooner, probably. But yeah.
Yeah. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman's superpower is patience. He's patience man in this movie because he actually just he gets the TJ Maxx number from an ad in the back of one of these porn magazines, and it's like, you don't got city pages? They're free.
Sure.
Just have them throw city pages in the bag.
Right.
You're set.
Right.
But anyway, and there's no other number to call. He just calls the hotline to order like their materials.
Right.
And then he starts talking to the representative. And he's like, "Well, I don't really know how to help you." And we keep coming back. This pays off because we keep coming back to him, and they're at new levels in it. And he's like, "This is really a bad situation. He's got cancer." He's like, "Oh, my mom had breast cancer. Oh, that's so terrible. Is she okay?" Yeah, she's okay now. I was like, "Oh, good." And he just stays on the phone.
Yeah.
And he gets through to the next level.
Yeah.
Oh, except he ruins that by saying, I know it seems kind of like a scene in a movie where you call and a guy says, this person's got cancer. This is that scene.
And I think they have those scenes in those movies because it's true.
Boy, he and Vanity could have had a real great time together.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for making you watch this film again.
Yeah, well, never again. Also, I thought, we'll see Southland Tales someday. I find it really hard to believe that Frank Mackey has a Saturn.
It's totally unbelievable.
I know it's the 90s, but come on.
Come on, this guy is like, he's like, taking new girls home all the time. He's not going to be getting a lot of girls not like that's the only thing the girls look at, but if he's like a really huge Mac, like he claims that he is.
A Mac?
What am I trying to say? If he's macking on these girls like he says he is, he's going to have like a cool car. He's not going to have a freaking Saturn.
Yeah, he's Mark Morrison. Fun fact, Mark Morrison didn't know how to drive, so when they did that scene with the Lamborghini in the video, they had to they went to the airport like at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And just drove her on the frontage roads, and he was like weaving all around, so they had to cut it all together.
Oh my gosh. Why?
He's never got his driver's license.
Oh, okay. Lived in New York or something like that?
No, I don't know. He's from England, isn't he? He's British.
Oh, okay. So,
well. The Mac is back, but you got to pick him up. That's it. No more talking about that. We'll be talking about movies in the future on this show. Boy, I'm kind of running down here. What did the kid get out of this? He was studying weather the whole time.
He tells his dad he has to be nicer to him.
Yeah, but he's in the library. That's his moment of clarity. I don't. Look, it doesn't matter. Look, don't let that. We got some great films coming up. Don't let this. We're not going to let this dampen our enthusiasm, and neither should you. So join us soon in the future when we talk about more classic movies for quarantainment.
Yes.
And like I said, we're going to fix that because it doesn't work anymore. But until we come back, we're signing off and saying stay healthy and stay safe.